What is it like being a Jamaican in Thailand? I'm Xavier Murphy, the founder of Jamaicans.com. Today in Jamaicans to the World, we talk to Maxine Clarke, a Jamaican living in Thailand. Welcome, Maxine. How are you?
Thank you, and I'm fine. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. We are. I'm so looking forward to this conversation because it's Thailand is a place that I'd love to visit at some point in my life. I tried to stick it in a visit to China, but it just didn't work out. But hey, another time we'll see. So my first question is, which part of Jamaica you come from?
Okay, so I'm from this small city called Spaldings, and it sits right on the border of Manchester and Clarendon. I, however, tell people I'm from Manchester for two reasons. For one, I prefer Mandeville to Maypen, and for two, I was born in the Percy Junior Hospital, which is in the Manchester side of the parish. So I'm from Manchester.
Okay, so then this is interesting because you must know where Tweedside is if you're born in Spalding.
I do.
Okay,
Even
because that's where my
yeah,
mother is from. My mother is from
really.
Tweedside. Yes.
Okay. So, which means you had to come to the big city of Spaldings to buy lots of things, right?
Yes. Yes. Spalding is one of the closest cities to us.
Cities. I got you to say it.
So, which school are you representing today?
I represent one of the best schools, not one of the best school in the country. It's Knox College, the school, the citadel built on rocks.
The Knoxes, man, the Knoxes.
And let me say it for all the Knoxites who are going to listen to this. I'm from the great house of Forbes Dennis, Forby House.
Well, are you fully representing here? You're representing the school and you're representing your house. You want to tell us
Yes,
what color the house was too?
green.
All right. So, tell us about your journey getting to Thailand. Tell us the story of how you ended up in Thailand.
Okay, so I after I finished graduate studies in the UK, I went back home, applied for jobs, none in Jamaica, so they say. So I started teaching at college preparatory schools in the United States. And as you know, the H-1B visas last for 6 years. So I could go back to Jamaica for a year and then go back to the States. But this job came up at a British international school, the Shrewsbury International School, for a director of their critical thinking program. I applied, I got it, I like it. The rest is history.
Okay. And how long have you been in Thailand?
This is my seventh year. I can't even believe that.
Man, you're a veteran there.
Yes.
So before I jump into Thailand, you and I were talking before, and you said you studied in Russia because we talked about the previous interview I've done a while back with Russia.
Right.
How many years were you in Russia?
I studied in, let me put it historically correct as a historian. I studied in the Union of Soviet Socialist Republic for 6 years at the Moscow State University. I studied in the history faculty, a minor in world and European history, and a major in American history.
No.
Yes, I studied American history in Russia.
So did you learn Russian before you got to Russia?
No, I learned one word in Jamaica. It was the year when the Soviets shut down the Korean Airlines. And
Mm,
remember, the Gleaner had a cartoon that said "niet," which
mm-hmm,
means no, and that's the only word I knew. But we all
mm-hmm.
spent a year in what we call the Padgatavitini faculty, which is the preparatory faculty, and there we learned the language. And then afterwards, for 3 years, in the university we learn it, and the option to learn it right to the end of our course, which I did.
Man, well traveled there, Russia. Another job.
So we had to study in the language, in the Russian language. So yeah.
All right, let's pivot back now to current location, to Thailand. So tell us a little bit about the people here. What are the people in Thailand like?
Let me start with my students. Kind, smart, accepting. I remember my third day meeting the students, and they came back with some gifts for me, and it was some sweets with a little trick in there because some of their sweets are very peppery. So they gave me a pepper set of sweets too. And then they said to me, you're awesome. We want to be in your class. And that was only the third day. And I worked with them right until they graduated, still in touch. I should say I only teach in the sixth form. So those were, but I interact with students all through.
Okay. And would you say, so you'd say the people are very friendly?
Yes, accommodating. You can see it in many ways. For example, Thailand has a, or certainly Bangkok, has a very bad traffic problem. It's like bumper to bumper. But the patience in which they sit in that traffic, I don't think many Jamaicans could manage it. So, and the sharing, like, I don't know if you know, but Thailand has despite their development over the past 10 years, they have the largest wealth gap in the world. But the sharing, like the what do we call it now? Outside shops is just full of street vendors, and it's so peaceful. They're allowed to be there, and everybody gets a piece. Well, not really a piece of the pie, but everybody do their own thing.
I see. And what's the language?
Thai.
And have you learned Thai?
I started, but when you're learning a foreign language, you need to study the vocabulary, or else you won't know it. So I know a few words like chai chai, which means yes. They tend to repeat things because even English, if they are telling you it's the same, they say same same. Or I know sabai sabai, which means relax. But I'm gonna learn it.
All right. And when people learn that you are Jamaican, what is typically the response and is from them?
Okay, so that's a nice story, and not only in Thailand but all over Asia. So, for instance, one day I decided when I was introducing myself to my newest set of students, instead of instead of telling them where I'm from, I decided to ask them where do they think I'm from. So one student said, I don't know the name of the country, but all I know is that Usain Bolt is from the same country. So I started laughing so much, and she said, no, everybody tells me you're from the same country as Usain Bolt. Everybody tells me. And it just dawned on me that they were all around the school. She's from the same country as Usain Bolt. And then, but for the most part, I will tell you another sort of a joke. I was coming in from Laos with two of my Jamaican friends who had US passports. So they go in the privileged US line, and I had to go elsewhere, and they are testing for different things. Oh, yellow fever, yellow fever. What have you? And he looked on the list, of Africa looking for Jamaica. So I felt sorry for him. So I said, Jamaica is not in Africa. And then I started to explain, and he said, oh, Peru. They have yellow fever too. So I allowed him to look in Peru or wherever. And when he did not see it now, he shouted in Thai something to another immigration officer. The immigration officer replied in English, Jamaica? We don't test Jamaicans. It's Usain Bolt country. We don't test Jamaicans here. Let her go. And then I got all these selfies. But overall, people think Jamaicans in Africa. Two of the best ones I've heard when I was in Hong Kong. Somebody said, "Oh, Jamaica in Iceland," and I'm like, "Oh dear."
Iceland.
Mhm. Or when I was in Malaysia, and this tour guide said to me, "Oh, I know Jamaica. Jamaica is in England." So I said, "No, Jamaica is not in England." "No, no, Jamaica is in England." I said, "No." "Do you know John Barnes?" I said, "Yeah." "John Barnes play for England, right?" I said, "Yeah, I know." "See, I tell you, Jamaica is in England." What could I say? But
Oh,
Jamaica officials in Africa were very hot, hotter than hot Bangkok. Okay. So that's the most interesting thing from mostly the local population. Other people actually know Jamaica. The staff at my school are 99% UK, so they know us.
so are there any local customs that you found among the Thai people that you'd say, man, this is very, very interesting in terms of, customs?
Well, I remember maybe in my first year, somebody introduced me to a student and a young man, and I put out my hand to shake his hand, and he did not respond. And I thought, wow, he's shy. And then at the end of the year, when we had our prize giving, I noticed the students, their names are called. They walk on the platform, stop at a certain point, and do the way, as they call it, which is this. When you come back, you'll see it. And then move to the principal, take their certificate, and go. In other words, it came home to me that shaking hands is not a part of their culture. They do something else, and I find it very sweet and convenient now.
So the something
This is
else
what they do.
is this.
Right. They just do this. They stop a little bit before, inches away from the principal, do this, and then walk up to him, take the certificate, and move. So
Interesting.
there's no shake hand or anything. But it's very nice. If you're in the dining room, for example, and I give way to a student to go ahead of me, really nice how they respond. And when you see they teach the little 2-year-old, say, do the why for her. So I like that about them. And
So,
I've come to appreciate, at first I couldn't understand it, but I've come to appreciate before virus,
right.
every time they have a cold, they wear a mask. That's
I,
before the virus.
mm,
We never did, foreigners. But
right.
now I appreciate it more.
I see. I
And
see.
it also protects you because, if you're a teacher in a school, you get cold very often. So it means
Right.
if they're in the classroom and they're coughing, they have on their mask, and therefore you feel more secure with that.
So, what would you say you like the most about Thailand?
I've thought about it. Before I ever knew I was coming here, um, I had a colleague who came here for holidays, my former colleague. And when he came back, he said, I love that place. I want to go there and work. I want to live there. And quite a few people I heard said it. And when I came, there was this comfort that I felt, and I couldn't understand why. I was also with my colleague who came the same time with me from the United States, and she said the same thing. And I tried to decipher why. And then I come to my own conclusion, apart from the fact that the weather is good, the food is good, holidaying is good, traveling from here is relatively easy. I've come to the conclusion that it reminds me of Jamaica in one way, in that a part of it is dilapidated, and the other part is beautiful. So there's something in common that makes you feel comfortable. That's
Mm,
the only answer I can give. But we feel okay here.
okay.
Like all the teachers, we say this is not a bad place to get stuck because we have not traveled since 2019.
I see. So, what do you like? What do you say you like the least?
The heat, the pollution.
Okay.
When the AQI reach a certain number, the kids have to stay inside. Fortunately, it's not that often, but it can be and when it even reaches a higher number, then the government closes the school.
Mm.
So it can be difficult, even though we are lucky in that our school is right beside the apartments where we live. So we literally leave an AC apartment to go to an AC school. So
Okay.
we don't get to feel the effect of the heat as such.
So speaking of the love of nature, and you talked
Mhm.
about food a little bit, do you see all the fruits you would see in Jamaica
Oh yeah,
there?
oh yeah. My favorite fruits when I go, apart from their fruits, which sometimes I don't get the chance to sample their fruits because they have mine. Nieceberry, sweet sop, of course, banana, oranges, different types, especially during the Chinese New Year. You see a million and one type of oranges that you have never seen. Pineapple, just the same things. Melon is one of the more common fruits here.
Hmm.
So yeah, I'm okay when it comes to fruit.
What about your mangoes? I
Oh
thought
yeah,
you
mango,
were mango.
mangoes. They have the little one that they call plum, and I'm like, no, you're mango, you're not plum. But they have mangoes. The only thing I find is that I probably see two or three types, not like Jamaica that have 1,000 types.
Right. What's the food like? You said the food. You like the food there. What's the food like? And,
Well,
and let me back up a bit. What's the
uh,
food like? And if there was one Thai food that you would recommend, what would it be? So two parts to
right.
this.
So a lot of Jamaicans say to me when they find out that I'm here, "Oh, Thai food is my favorite," and I kind of feel bad because so okay, first of all, I'm a creature of habit. So and because they have similar things to us, in many ways I eat Jamaican. Because chicken is chicken, rice is rice, and vegetables are vegetables. So one of the things I don't like about the food here, which many Jamaicans would like, is the pepper. Yeah, it's peppery. When I see the little kids in the dining room just eating up, I'm like, wow, you had to be born into this. And but I like their seafood, especially sea bass, in different ways. Um, which the pad thai salad is very famous among foreigners. I don't go for it mainly because they have a way they put sugar in almost everything, and I
Mm,
can't understand why you put sugar in a salad. So I don't have it. But there's a wide choice, and also even though the food is so popular here,
right.
it's not just Thai food. You get Chinese food, you get Mediterranean food, you get just about Japanese, Korean. You know, you have a wide choice of food here. And it's also a very foodie country.
I
Like
see.
almost everybody eats out. When you go to the malls in the evenings, it's just rampant. People just eat their supper there
Right.
because food is so cheap too and good. And that is why their street food is such that it's very unlikely that you'll get food poisoning because it's usually done. And
Mm.
also, it's very well fried, so you know how that goes. Still not bring myself to do much of that, but
So you said you know there's things that taste like a Jamaican food. Is there a Jamaican restaurant there
well,
in
I heard
Car?
about one.
Okay.
And when I went there, he told me that he was Thai Egyptian who used to live in New York
Mm.
and he liked Jamaican food in New York, so he brought it here. When I went to collect it too, the guy who cooked it was Nepalese. So you got the picture, right? It came close, but you know, these food usually come close. A colleague of mine from the UK whose father is Jamaican of English descent, so he knows about Jamaican food, and he bought for me last week jerk chicken and rice and peas. The,
Okay.
the taste was there, but if you got the rice and peas, you'd have said, "Wait, did they stay in Chiang Mai and put the peas?" You don't realize, no, rice and peas, you need lots of peas. But it was a good taste. I like it. I saw a note a friend sent me a note some weeks ago that said in April they'll be opening a Jamaican restaurant. So I'll sample that and tell you.
All right. All right. We're looking forward to hearing about that.
Oh, one more. I went up to this in Christmas to this mountainous town called Pai. Really nice and cool. And only when we came back down, we realized that there was a Jamaican restaurant way up in that mountains. For those of us listening who know Chiang Mai, it's miles away from Chiang Mai. So it's distance from Bangkok. And there's a Jamaican restaurant there. I looked it up. They sell jerk chicken and all of that, but I missed it.
So you have to go back.
Yeah, maybe.
So where you're located in Bangkok, you said?
Yeah.
So being there in Thailand, always here, and I think you partially mentioned it. You're in a place where flights, and I think you maybe mentioned it that you could travel around. When you could travel, what was it like? Did you travel to China? Did you travel to Korea? Did you travel to what nearby places have you traveled to, or kind of hopped off to, or plan to?
It's funny how you start with the two countries that I've never been to yet. I must say, first of all, since I've been here, the amount of places that we can go in Asia without a visa have increased. So that's good. So since I've been here, I've been to Hong Kong, Laos, Bali, Malaysia, Singapore. Oh, where else? Just a few countries around the region. Some of them, I've been to Singapore 3 times because it's literally an hour down the road. Malaysia twice. Laos is an amazing. Oh, Vietnam. Wow, you would love Vietnam. When you go there, you wonder, was this where the Vietnamese War was? So peaceful, so nice. The food. I got introduced to oxtail soup in Vietnam.
How was it?
Great. I had it almost every day. I've never had it in Jamaica. Have you?
I've never had oxtail soup. I had one
Right.
experience where I was in Spain and I ordered oxtail. I'm trying to remember the name of the place. It was an excursion and it was kind of up in the hills. And I was amazed at the taste of the oxtail. Because we as Jamaicans think our oxtail is the oxtail.
Well, actually, here I had it also in an Italian restaurant because they apparently cook it often to the Italians, and it was good. It seems as if oxtail is just good, right? we just popularize it, but it's good.
Exactly. So in terms of adjustment there, when you first got there, what would you say has been the biggest thing that you had to adjust to when you got to Thailand?
I'm not sure I adjusted to anything. I'm not sure why. Maybe because, as I told you before, I lived for 6 years in Moscow. And while I was in Moscow, I traveled many places to Finland, to Liechtenstein, just about a lot of different places in Europe. After Moscow too, I did study in the UK. So living in the UK, I lived in Moscow first, then in the UK for about 10 years. Then I went to the United States, which when I'm there, I forget that we're still teaching international. That's so like, oh. And then I came here. So I don't know. I think there's something in us that as we grow older, it comes out without we know. And if you see from the people you interviewed, I listened to a lot of them, you have to be a certain way to travel to many countries and appreciate it and live there. So
Okay.
I can't think of any adjustments, to be honest. Not even language, because initially you have people in the school who do things for you, the things that you need to do, whether it's your bank work, you have a mass doing at a school, whether it's at the hospital, the international hospitals they have here, they speak English. So I'm not sure there must be an adjustment, right?
Then
We
don't
both have.
No,
using boat as no,
they
using
don't have
boat
to be.
as my transport.
Uh-huh.
You like we use a boat. Like 5 minutes from here to the next station, we take a boat. It's a 15-minute walk, and if you take a taxi, depending on the traffic, it could even be 30 minutes. So it's a 5 minute in the boat. So yeah, that was kind of, oh my God. But I got used to it, to taking the boat and other places where I take the boat to go. So yeah, that was an adjustment.
Not a major one, but you seem like you're, because of your travels and because of your different experiences, you're well adjusted. Because you had to think for a little bit to find something, and so I'm finding that a lot of people are adjusted, and you put us anywhere, and we're just going to make the best out of it. You
I
know.
think it's a personality in us though. Some people come and why me can't stay here? Me gone. That type of thing. Because not everything is perfect, but you just live with it.
Right.
Um just like in the States, yeah, it was different. I was teaching in boarding schools and so on, but there were adjustments that you had to make there too. But and also once you decide to do something, then there's less adjustment to be made. Like I got job offers in Taiwan and Korea, but for some strange reason, I just never felt it. So I rejected the offers. But for
Mm.
this one, for some reason, I felt it. I should explain to you, well, I was going to explain more about the job and why I actually
Well,
took this over the other one.
by all means, and one of the questions I was going to ask you, because earlier you talked about when they did and I don't remember the name of this, when they do this, right?
Hmm.
For the most part, you'll hear the rest of the East teachers are well respected, and so go ahead and tell us why this job and why they have kept you there. But I'd love to hear a little bit about the respect.
Right. We have a special, the day is for teachers, but for the Thai people, your teacher is not just the person who teaches you in the classroom. First and foremost, it's their kin, especially the previous one who died. He's their number one teacher. And then it's their parents and their older siblings. Those to them are teachers. So we have this honor at school where they make special flowers that have special meaning and give it to us. And then we look at them and say, may you all be successful. And even though it happens every year, the way their eyes light up when you say it to them, it means something to them. It's really a very special occasion where they honor their teachers. So yes, it's honored. Now, how did I choose this? First of all, the job is to be the director of their critical thinking program, something that I'm very passionate about as a historian on how we think, especially in a time like this. But one of the things that got me here, apart from the fact that when I taught at boarding school in the United States, I also taught students from Thailand. So there's some familiarity there. I had a good relationship with them. And then they teach it a special way here. Well, the type of teaching that I do is called hardness teaching. This is something that I learned from teaching in the two boarding schools where I taught in the USA. Hardness really it means student centered, discussion based. So in my classrooms, you have big oval tables, and the kids sit around it with you. They have to read the articles before, annotate, create questions, and we have a discussion rather than me at the top telling them the answers. I should mention that it's a sort of pre-university, just like when I taught in the States. And that's why I took this type of job too, because I know I could use up my skills that I got not just in Moscow, but in Cambridge doing a PhD. You use those skills to teach your kids, to teach them writing. So I was pretty impressed that they had the hardness system here and the hardness table because my first ever job at the Phillips Exeter Academy in the United States was a Hartness school. Only Hartness they thought. My second job at the Lawrenceville School in New Jersey was a Hartness school. Only Hartness they used. And then I came here. I mean, I'm just lucky. Let's put it that way.
Bless.
Just very, very lucky because it's not that common.
Bless.
So that really enticed me to come here.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you spending some time with us, Maxine, and telling us all about your journey there to Thailand. My last question is this one. I have two more, but here's one before the last one.
Uh-huh.
So you get off the plane, you land in Jamaica. What is the first? Well, before that, how could I forget this? I forgot one question. So I'm going to back up a little bit. So the question is this one. If I was to visit Thailand, what is the one thing? Either it could be an attraction, it could be an experience, it could be an event, it could be a location. You would say, Xavier, if you come to Thailand, you have to experience this, visit this, or do this. What would that be?
Okay, Xavier. If you come to Thailand, you have to visit these places. I can't give you one. So let me give you a few. The Grand Palace. It's awesome. The historic sites like Ayutthaya, their old capital, which is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. And then I know you don't just want to be educated. So there's sky bars. I've just been there once, but I know you would like it. So the sky bars and then the islands, Koh Samui and all those, the beaches. Like right now when there are no tourists except we teachers. I remember last summer many of our teachers just took a car and they just went down the south of the island, stop at this island, move on to the next, to the next. Very beautiful, lots of beauty you will enjoy. So that I would say that's more than one, right?
Yes, that's more than one. So let's talk about those islands now. So you're saying you went along the coast and what you do, take a boat over to these smaller islands that's off the coast?
Yes, at some point. Like I went to Koh Samui once, I drive and then, oh my gosh, I'm not sure I like it because you walk in the water and then you go in the boat and small islands, nice. Not all of them are very small, actually. Koh Chang I went to, and Koh Chang could be a little country by itself. So it appears to me anyway. There are waterfalls. There's the nature. I love waterfalls. And if you have time, you jump over to Laos. Yeah.
Wow.
I won't give you any more.
All right.
But yes.
So back to my other question. You land in Jamaica. What's the first thing you're doing when you get off the plane? It could be visit, it could be food, it could be what you doing? What you doing?
Right. For the first thing I do is wow, I'm here. After, of course, the immigration and the customs look at me and say, you live in Thailand? Yes, I do. And the next part I usually like when they look at me and say, welcome home. It's the sweetest feeling. When they look, you live in Thailand? Oh my God, how do you like it? Welcome home. You have no idea how that feels. Normally I say to my friends, if my friends pick me up, let's stop at the first coconut water. Wait, do we say coconut juice or coconut water?
No, we say coconut water.
Right, because here's juice. And by the way, here it tastes different. I just had to get used to it.
Right.
Indonesia, Cambodia. Oh, I went to Cambodia too. I never listed that. Indonesia and Cambodia, coconut water tastes like in Jamaica. The others taste different. Okay.
How different can coconut water taste from one place to the other? It's coconut.
Okay, when the Thai people decide to let in you Americans, come on over and I'll show you. They're letting you in now, by the way, so you can come on over. Yeah, and then the food. Sometimes I purposely like Knutsford Court.
Right.
And even though when you stay at Knutsford Court, so-called free breakfast, you know how that goes, how free it is. Anybody would love that free breakfast. The continental, the egg, the croissant, bread, everything. No, I pay to get my banana, dumpling, and
Yeah.
then either ackee and saltfish or ackee and corn pork or callaloo or mackerel, and they like give me only one banana. Like, can I pay for an extra three? Like, I miss eating green banana.
So
And then I always go with my friend to my very good friend. Should give her a shout out, Professor Shepherd. We always go for a brunch in Courtly. I love it. The last time I was there, my friend drove me up to, on the way to the Blue Mountains. They have this Blue Cafe.
Mm.
The food was so good that I took a picture of it and it's framed in my dining room now. Yes, I love it. So yes, I just walk around and just eat all the food I can.
Well, again, thank you for spending some time with us telling about your experience there in Thailand. So here is how I typically close out.
Mm-hmm.
I know you don't know the language fully, but I'm sure you pick up on, you must know this one. Okay, I know I'm putting you on the spot here.
All right.
How do they say bye-bye informally in Thai?
Well, okay. The way they say bye-bye is also, I think, the way they say hello, like sawadee ka. Now, if you hear me say ka at the end, it's a form of friendliness, politeness. It's really sawadee and then ka. And if you want to say thank you, kapung ka. And I watched somebody talking one day on the phone, and they said to the person, "Kapung ka sawadee ka." So it's you saying thank you at the same time and goodbye, and it's really sweet. So yeah, so
All I
sawadee
remember
ka.
is the soda ika.
That's sawadee ka. Yeah.
All right. So, Maxine, sawadee ka.
Kapung ka.
Show some love now. Hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and hit that notification bell. That way you don't miss a video.